You're doing this wrong, and you don't even know it. Every year, ACCA MA students walk into exams thinking they've prepared enough. And every year, thousands are blindsided, not because they didn't study, but because they studied the wrong way. They memorized chapters, they watched endless tutorials, they even solved past papers. But they missed the golden pattern. There are certain topics in ACCA MA that repeat every single year. Quietly, predictably, ruthlessly. These are the secret darlings of the examiners, the questions that come dressed differently, but have the same heartbeat underneath. And if you don't know what those topics are, you're setting yourself up for painful regret. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the top 10 ACCA MA topics that repeat every single year, and what you must do with each to make sure you don't just pass, but perform like a strategist. What I'm about to show you, most people will never know. But you're here now, and you're already ahead. Welcome to Education Bench, where we turn confusion into clarity for ambitious ACCA students who want results. Not just lectures. This isn't about cramming. It's about strategic insight that gets you marks, every time. Let's start where most students go wrong. Break-even analysis and CVP, cost volume profit, relationships. It might look simple, almost too basic to show up again and again. But this topic is the quiet killer in exams. Not because it's hard, but because it's deceptively easy. And examiners love twisting it just enough to trap you. Think you've nailed it because you know the formula? Think again. What about semi-variable costs? What about break-even with multiple products? What about margin of safety under limiting factor constraints? If you can't explain break-even to a 10-year-old and solve it with uncertainty added, you don't understand it. And the examiner will find you out. Relevant costing and decision-making. Let's be honest. Most students think they understand relevant costing because they've memorized the rules. Ignore sunk costs. Consider future cash flows. Seems logical, right? But here's what no one told you. The exam doesn't test your memory. It tests your judgment. Can you pick out the irrelevant data from a fog of noise? Can you defend your decision? This topic shows up in make or buy, shutdown decisions, contract pricing, and special orders. And if you're not training your mind to spot psychological traps, you'll fall for them. Budgeting and variance analysis. Budgeting isn't just about making spreadsheets look pretty. It's a test of how you think about uncertainty. Flexible budgets, sales volume variances, mix and yield. All of these aren't just calculations, they're a reflection of your ability to interpret performance. Here's a hard truth. Examiners always include variances because they reveal your true understanding of cause and effect in business. Can you tell the story behind the numbers? Because if you just calculate and move on, you've already lost marks. Standard costing and performance management. Why does this topic show up so consistently? Because it's the bridge between calculation and communication. The examiner isn't just looking for numbers, he's asking, what do those numbers mean for management? You'll get asked things like, is labor efficiency actually improving, or are we just cutting corners? Is material price variance telling a supply chain story? Here's what no one told you. If your analysis is mechanical, your marks will be minimal. Limiting factor and linear programming. Every student prays this doesn't come up. Why? Because it feels complicated. Graphs, equations, constraints, shadow prices. But guess what? That fear makes it a favorite for the examiner. And here's the twist, it's not actually hard. It's just presented in a way that makes you doubt your instincts. If you know how to spot binding constraints, interpret slack, and understand contribution per unit of limiting factor, you'll outperform 80% of students who panic at the sight of a graph. Linear programming isn't about solving equations, it's about seeing the invisible trade-offs that businesses face every day. Absorption versus marginal costing. This isn't just a theory chapter. This is a battlefield of logic. And here's why. In the exam, you'll be asked to justify pricing decisions, performance reviews, and profit comparisons, all based on which costing method you choose. Get the principle wrong, and your whole answer collapses. If you don't deeply understand why fixed overheads behave differently under absorption versus marginal costing, you're walking into a trap. Activity-based costing, ABC. Here's the mistake most students make. They think ABC is just another costing method. But in real life, and in the exam, ABC is a philosophy. It's about tracing real drivers of cost, not just dumping overheads across products. In the exam, they'll hide the drivers. distract you with product lines, confuse you with irrelevant activities. But if you've trained yourself to think like a forensic accountant, you'll find the pattern and the marks. Pricing strategies and elasticity. What most students don't realize is that ACCA MA isn't just about calculations. It's about market thinking. That's why pricing shows up so often. It reveals how you think about competition, demand, and customer psychology. And elasticity? It's not just a formula. It's a story about how people react to price changes. If you can't write that story, you're missing the whole point. Time series analysis and forecasting. Forecasting looks boring until you realize what it actually means: predicting the future in a world of chaos. The examiners love this topic because it blends math with judgment. Can you spot a trend? Can you interpret seasonal variations? Can you adjust for irregular patterns? Forecasting is the examiner's way of asking, are you capable of helping a business make smarter decisions? Or are you just copying formulas? And yet, knowing what repeats is only half the game. The real question is, what will you do with this? If this hit home for you, don't just close the tab. Take action. Go back to your notes. Rethink your strategy. Create your own versions of these problems. Make them messy, then master them. You're one step ahead of 90% of ACCA students right now. But staying ahead takes more than insight. It takes execution. Here's your next step. Watch our video on the top mistakes ACCA MA students make without realizing. It builds directly on what you've learned and shows you how to avoid the mental traps that sabotage success. Drop a comment below. Which of these 10 topics has caused you the most confusion? Or better yet, share your experience. You might help someone else crack it too. This isn't the end, it's your starting point. Welcome to a smarter way of studying. Only on Education Bench.